Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at the revamp for the Android 21 event. So this is a pretty big revamp actually, which I think is fine. It's great to revamp events every once in a while, and it's going to be pretty good. They've added a new Android 21, a red Android 21 and a Zenkai for her, and this is an overhaul for the Elegant Android event. And you can now get the two Android 21s, and you can get both of them Zenkais. So obviously a bit of an Android 21 theme. Hopefully there'll be a cool new LF Android 21, which would be cool. Legends is like one of the few games that really kind of celebrates Android 21, along with Fighter Z, which I think is really cool. We're going to go through the whole process and cover everything you pretty much need to know about the Zenkai Awakenings, about all of the changes. So don't really panic too much. You should be more than good to go. There's a couple ways to get all the resources, and we'll cover all of them pretty much as you need. So to start with, you'll come to the Elegant Android. Even if you've done the event before, it's going to be completely reset for you, and you're going to only have one stage. This stage will drop the Z power for the blue Android 21. And if you're like me and you did the event before, you might already have an Android 21. Don't worry too much about this, okay? You just still have to do the first stage. Everything still remains the same for new players. You're just going to be starting from scratch. For players who've maybe grinded a little bit of this event or maxed out, great. You don't have to go and grind her again. Obviously, as always, guys, priority is to focus on the missions. You want to complete the challenges that are available here. You want to make sure that you complete them, so that you can obviously have the mission rewards, because the mission rewards do tie to how many challenges you have completed. While you complete the stages, you will get two or a couple of types of currency, mainly to do with desserts and treats. You're going to get cupcakes, macarons, and donuts, and you can trade these in for rewards, including Z power for both Android 21s and Zenkai souls and skip tickets. So lots of valuable stuff there, but most importantly, there's actually a new equipment that's pretty good. This is the Awakened Android equipment. It's health restoration, strike damage, and strike defense. So pretty strong one actually, and it's going to come in handy for the new Android 21. Now there are a couple missions. The missions are also again very straightforward. Essentially they amount to simply completing all the stages and all their challenges, and then doing the daily bonus battle for the Android 21s every single day for the next week. So nothing too crazy. You don't need to worry too much about it. It's pretty straightforward. It's a nice slow way to grind the Z power if you are someone who maybe doesn't want to get through the intensive grind themselves. What we're going to do is we're just going to complete the missions here for the first stage. And then what we'll do is we'll switch, skip ahead as always, and talk through kind of the process while you do these fights. Now, as I mentioned before, there are a couple, interesting rewards that you get from here. So you can get the macarons, you can get the donuts, you can get a whole bunch of little currencies, and these you can trade in for skip tickets, energy, Zenkai souls, a lot of stuff. So it's fairly straightforward, the exchange mechanic. You can get Z power for the units that way as well if you want to, which obviously is also more than fine. But for me, there's no real need to do that, just based on how much Z power you can grind yourself, and rather focus on getting two good pieces of the equipment, and maybe also just grabbing yourself the skip tickets, the Zenkai souls, etc. All of those. Once you complete the first stage, you will unlock a second stage, or you'll unlock two more stages actually. You'll unlock the next stage in the chain of Android 21 blue, but you'll also unlock the first stage in the chain of Android 21 red. We're going to complete the first stage for Android 21 red. The rewards for this stage will be the 100 Z power you need to have Android 21 red. At this point you can also substitute in Android 21, but you don't need either of them to finish each other's side. It's basically a purple unit for the Android 21 red, and you're going to need a yellow unit for the Android 21 blues chain. Those are pretty straightforward. The missions, by the way, are kind of consistent throughout the stages. You're always going to need to dodge one attack with a vanishing step, always do one switch, always do a couple blast attacks, and always hit 3 attacks with whichever type they request of you. So these missions are pretty straightforward, I would say. We are going to complete this first stage for Android 21, and then we'll do a little jump ahead and discuss obviously what your next step in the procedure is. But as you can see, we're just using event exclusive units. We're not using anything crazy. You don't need to follow this team exactly. It's better if you go and make your own team. That's a lot better than this. This is just a whole bunch of event exclusive units with event exclusive buffs just stuck together. Just basically to be lazy. And to show you that you don't need to do anything special, but mainly to be lazy. Now, obviously, once you've done this whole process of unlocking both Android 21s, there's a little bit of grinding that one needs to do to get them maxed, and we'll talk about that, but it's going to require quite a large amount of energy. It's going to require around 1,800 to 2,400 energy, depending on how far your Android 21 Blue has gone. But so we've unlocked Android 21 Red, fantastic. We've also completed all of the challenges for her first stage, really cool. And now we're under the process of basically starting each quest chain. Now the Android 21 Red quest chain is a lot slower than the Android 20, or a lot shorter I should say, than the Android 21 Blue quest chain. Please make sure before you continue that you place both Android 21s in the team. This is going to help you complete some of the missions, and also make sure that you train Android 21 Red and Android 21 Blue. You can also soul boost Android 21 Red without any special souls, whereas for Android 21 Blue, you're going to need to farm her souls, and that will come from the third stage in her quest chain. So I'll point that out again to you when we get to that point, but you can see here we are completing missions by putting both of them in the team, and we're going to also train Android 21 Red. So make sure you do these things before you continue on to the next step, or while you're doing the event, to help circumvent and save some time. So like I said, what we're going to do now is we'll just jump ahead a little bit super quickly, and you're going to see that we've done all of the stages and unlocked all of the bonus stages. Now you'll see that there was only one more additional stage for Android 21 Red. This was the stage to earn the Z power for her, so nothing too crazy, very straightforward. And then for Android 21 Blue, there were 2 new stages, one for the souls and one for her Z power. Now you're going to need to farm her souls. She requires her souls to soul boost, so unfortunately for her Zenkai and her soul boost, you're going to need to farm her exclusive souls. So it is important that you know about that stage, because it's very important for you. We also, during the process of this completing the stages, completed a couple missions. You're going to want to collect those now, as these are going to give you a couple little boosts, including a little bit of Zenkai power for both of them. So there you go. Unlocked the next stage of the Zenkai for Android 21 Blue, which is cool. And then we also will have the first level Zenkai for Android 21 Red. However, we don't have her 7-starred yet. We'll talk about that process just now. But these should be the missions you have done once you've completed those stages. The rest are all fairly simple. Again, nothing too crazy. So what you're going to do now is, obviously you've unlocked a couple bonus stages. So the Zenkai Awakening Power stages, which are the purple ones, we're not going to strictly cover. So I'm not going to be showing them in the video. They are a little bit tough, but you should be able to handle them with the way the units are right now. It's pretty stock standard. It's obviously for the Zenkai Awakening Power, which is going to be very important later on. Then we also have, of course, the daily bonus stages. Now the daily bonus stages are super important stages that you should definitely do early on. Not only are they super crucial to the missions, but they also actually just drop a large amount of Z power, Zenkai Awakening power, and of course the currency along with the souls for Android 21 Blue. So the bonus battles are what we're going to quickly do here. They're actually relatively easy, and you shouldn't really experience any major problems. Again, I haven't farmed or grinded the Z power for these units. We're just going with them as they are. Of course, my Android 21 Blue is the way she is because I've done the event before. For you, your Android 21 Blue will likely also only be 1 star. But this is not an issue. Neither event is distinctly overtly difficult, as you can see here. Doing plenty damage super duper quickly. These daily bonus stages are very, very simple. and they're a great way to grab a whole bunch of extra Z power and resources, and they're going to make your life a lot easier. So easy peasy, quick, super fast stage, and it gives you quite a large chunk. I think it gives you a guaranteed 200 of each, if I'm not mistaken. And it also gives you a large chunk of souls. So not guaranteed 200, but quite a large chunk there. And obviously a little bit of chrono crystals as well. But yeah, mainly the resources are also quite large from there. You get quite a few donuts, quite a few macarons. I think you have increased chance of the rare resource. So yeah, then we're going to reciprocate and do the same for the blue Android 21, which is obviously going to follow a very similar process. So right now, the process has been fairly simple, I would say. Do these daily bonus stages before you do anything else. 1, because of the large amount of resources that they give. 2, because they aid you in completing missions. And 3, because they are time gated. So the sooner you get them done, especially on the first day, the better it's going to be for you, because you're going to actually be able to do the number of runs in the required time. If you miss a day or two, then it becomes a bit tight to complete all of the missions, and it can be a little bit taxing on the player base. But yeah, these fights, as you can see, are not too difficult. We're not even taking that much damage from her, so it's really not any much of an issue. And this fight also very, very swiftly defeated. So at this point, we haven't had any problems, and grinding the 2 units has been fairly simple. Now comes the part where you're going to be consuming a fair amount of energy. So at this stage, what you want to do is you are going to want to farm the Z power for the units before you take on the Zenkai Awakening stages. So you can buy them, like I said, if you have enough currency, you can buy some from the store, but the easiest way to grind them is going to be to do their Z power stages. That's obviously stage 2 for the red one, and that's going to be stage 2 for the blue Android 21. What I've done is I've just skipped ahead to where I've grinded Android 21 to 7-star. I haven't further grinded Android 21 blue. I've tried to keep her at kind of where she is at, essentially. I also completed the Zenkai Awakening stages, and I got them to Zenkai 6, so that when I complete their missions, that will push them to Zenkai 7. So now both units will be 7-star and Zenkai 7. Now please remember with Zenkai Awakenings that you do need to Zenkai boost the units for their Zenkai Awakenings to actually take a tangible effect. I'm not going to be doing so because Zenkai Awakening units takes a lot of resources, and a lot of players aren't going to have this. So I'm just going to show you how to complete the challenge stages without actually doing the Zenkais to the units. But at this point you should have everything done except for the challenge stages. You can also use your resources to either boost the units. These resources will be here from farming the Z power for the units, or you can use the resources to farm the equipment. I would suggest dishing out the equipment as much as you can, obviously to the point where you have, let's say, at least 2 very good pieces of equipment, and then from there you can kind of just spend the rest on whatever you want. So then it comes down to the challenge stages. So there's 2 challenge stages. I'm going to do the one against Android 21. I'll show you the full fight for this Android 21 stage, and then the other one I'll just kind of do a brief rundown while I kind of skip ahead during it. So yeah, the 2 challenge stages both drop 30 chrono crystals, so together it's 60 chrono crystals. Again, it doesn't sound like a lot, but it all adds up, yeah, at the end of the day. So yeah, all that's left is the last 2 challenge fights. So a couple of things just before we obviously end off. I think firstly, just to kind of re-clarify for everyone, it will require a lot of energy to get these units maxed. This is kind of what they call an energy dump event. It's basically designed so that players will spend some of their skip tickets, their energy, and just to kind of like prevent players from getting too bored. I know it sounds weird, but it gives players something to do, keeps their energy and skip ticket resources low. It means that they have less resources to farm or automatically get really good equipment in future. And this, to a larger extent, is what the event is designed for. It does also give 2 pretty interesting Zenkai units, which I think will be something to see later on. But yeah, definitely is, how can I say, something that I think players need to also consider, you know, just how why the event is designed the way it is. So yeah, but that is basically it in terms of like everything basically for this unit or for this event. There's nothing too crazy. Obviously, once you complete the challenge events, you shouldn't have that difficult a time, you know, farming everything up and kind of getting them maxed out. Just remember that there is quite a lot of Z power left from the missions. So the missions, for example, for completing the daily bonus event, they do drop actually a sizable amount of Z power. So you don't need to necessarily max these guys to their max star when you've got like 2,500 Z power, I think, coming from those daily bonus missions. So just keep that in mind, because you don't want to waste resources on getting them there. Unless you're really adamant on getting them there early, then I guess sure, you know, go for it. But I just, yeah, don't really see it being absolutely necessary. But then again, you know, to each their own. I can't really say whether something is necessary or not. But yeah, I would definitely say, you know, that you should at least consider basically saving up and just doing it over time, like at least a week. Make sure that you at least do all the bonus battle missions first and then farm the rest. You know, I just don't think it's entirely necessary. I also think it's a little bit weird that, you know, yeah, I also think it is a little bit weird that basically they gave them a strike piece of gear when in reality they use blast. But yeah, it's just a little bit strange, basically, to cut a long story short. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really nothing too crazy, and it's interesting. For me, at least, I find it super interesting how they do these events. It gives 2 new units. Well, technically, it's giving 1 new unit here, but it gives players 2 android girls units that can maybe buff some of the upcoming categories, or both buff an existing category, or just buff existing units. So that's always pretty cool. The cell fight, just to break it down for you because you won't be watching the full one, is a bit different. There's no revive mechanic. It's just a very big health pool. It's about 14 of them. Just keep switching is the only thing I can suggest. So yeah, basically, to cut a long story short, not too bad a process. Yeah, just basically keep switching to apply as many debuffs as possible between the 2 Android 21s, and then I basically switch to Burley to do as much damage as possible. Once I've done that, that's basically the process that I went about. So it wasn't anything too crazy. It was a little bit challenging. Cell can tend to do a sizable amount of damage, so just be aware of that and watch out for him stringing some of his special moves together. He will kill Brody, he will cause some serious damage. But yeah, basically just kept switching it up, kept applying the pressure, kept applying the debuffs, and yeah, basically just kept switching back into Burley to really kind of get the damage rolling, and this just allowed me to get the win. But it wasn't too hard. Shouldn't really struggle. Like I said, you can Zenkai both Android 21s if you really want to kind of circumvent how difficult the event is. But yeah, otherwise I wouldn't really panic too much, if I'm honest. You know, you should be more than fine. So just feel free to give it a go and complete it, and you should be good to go. And yeah, that is it for the revamp of this event. So hopefully, guys, everything you needed to know was in this video. Let me know if you do have any queries. Of course, I will gladly assist you. But yeah, I think it's going to be pretty cool. I think it's going to be pretty interesting. So overall, really looking forward to testing out how good the red Android 21 is, and maybe taking a relook at the blue Android 21 and seeing, just kind of where she lies. But yeah, overall, I think it's a pretty worthwhile event, and I think players should really try to get their hands on both of these units. And that's going to be it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.